It's Coach Zach here with our home hockey challenge. All right, the quarantine hockey challenge. Today's workout, we're going to focus on just body weight only. All right, and also we're going to really cover technique. A lot of players are sending me in their videos, and what I'm noticing is that the technique for the most part has been really bad. All right, there's not been a focus on technique. The technique's been lazy. Maybe it's a lack of knowledge. Maybe it's a lack of strength. Maybe, you've never been taught how to do things the right way. But we have to make a huge focus on our technique of every single exercise. So when I'm talking about technique, I'm talking about the position of your body as you're doing an exercise. All right? One thing to think about in your mind the whole time, tension, okay? No matter what exercise you're doing, you should feel tension in your body everywhere. Okay, if you're doing an upper body exercise, you should still feel your core tensing like you're getting punched in the stomach. Hold that core every single exercise. Lower body should be tense. You should have your feet into the ground and kind of turn your feet. Feel like you're digging your toes and your heels and you're turning them out a little bit. Okay, just to create that tension through your quads. Okay, kind of bring your glutes, your butt muscles, squeeze them a little bit. All right, you got that tension, that strong base, no matter what you're doing. Squats, single leg squats, chest, push-ups, pull-ups, no matter what, create that tension. Core, legs, pull your shoulders back, okay? And you've got this tension everywhere now in your body, and there's no leaking of being loose and being lazy. Like I see a lot of, push-ups where guys are arching their back and, they're swaying back and forth. Pull-ups, same thing. Huge arch in the back and then just swaying and using the body. Keep tension in that body with everything. So we're going to cover the technique of every single one of the exercises. So important. So I really want you to pay attention to this. Go through it a few times. Make sure you understand what I mean by proper technique, and then video record yourself and just make sure your technique is perfect. All right? You may have to make exercises easier. You may not be strong enough yet to do something that you think you can do, and you're better off making the exercise easier with better technique and then progressing, okay? And I'll give you some variations in this workout. So first thing, make sure you're warmed up. You're fully warmed up. So pause the video if you haven't warmed up yet and do like a 5-minute warm up. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Do some arm circles, some jumping jacks, some air squats, some lunges, okay? Warm up for 5 minutes, okay? So pause the video. Make sure you're warmed up right now. Okay, coming back. Now you should be warmed up. We're going to get started here. What we're going to do is every single exercise we're going to do for 1 minute. If it's something that we're going to switch sides or switch legs, we're going to do 30 seconds on each side. So we're going to set a timer. We're going to go through 1 minute. Again, the technique has to be perfect. I'll give you guys some variations, all right? So first thing we're going to start off with, and I'm not necessarily a huge fan of this, is push-ups. But it is a good exercise. It's a staple if you do it right. So what I see a lot of players doing is they're flaring out their arms and their shoulders. They're dipping their low back, all right? You can't have your arms and your shoulders like this and you're pushing everything from up in here and your neck and it's just like you're forcing it versus having really good technique, tight core, okay? Head and everything in alignment. Get your elbows in tucked here and then push explosive, come down nice and slow. Push explosive, come down nice and slow. That's the proper push-up. Okay, so think about it. If someone's coming at you and you've got to shove them, okay, you're not going to bring your elbows up here and push like that, okay? You're going to be right in here. This is where your power comes from. So get your elbows in and then boom, okay, explosive. So as we do the push-ups, okay, pull the core in. Get on your toes here, okay? Don't let your head hang. Everything's in good position. Pull that belly button into your spine the entire time. And then you're going to come down nice and slow here. Explode up. So I'm not like this. Okay. I'm not like this. Okay. I'm straight as a board. So that's your proper push-up. If you can't do that, get on your knees and just move those knees out a little bit. All right. Again, I'm sucking in that core and I'm engaging it like I'm getting punched in the stomach. That's so important. This is still challenging if you do it the right way. Okay? So the technique on the push-ups has to improve. Elbows in, grip the floor, keep the shoulders pulled back. So don't get those shoulders forward. Shoulders pulled back, and then we're coming down under control and then exploding up. If you can't do that, go on your knees, okay? So important. If doing it the proper technique on your feet is too easy for you, if you have you can either put a little bit of weight on your back and really pull that belly button in. You can have a band, wrap a band around your back into your palms. So you've got a band going around your shoulders and your back and do a push-up that way. Those are all good options, all right? So 1 minute on the push-up. You set the timer, you go 1 minute. All right, next thing we're gonna do, single leg squat. Again, I see a lot of players doing this and not a lot of players doing it the right way. All right, so you can use a chair, a couch, something behind you. Okay, you're just gonna rest your foot on it. You're gonna get your foot right about even with, so your leg's a little bit extended in the back here. And then, as you're doing this now, again, we're gonna set up. So we're here, okay? Now, as we set up, standing up right here, core is engaged, head's back. I wanna feel that power through that leg. Everything should be tense, shoulders pulled back. Now we're gonna go down under control here, pause at the bottom, explode up. 30 seconds on each leg. If that's too easy for you, you can hold the weight. If you can do 30 seconds, perfect technique, nice and slow on the way down, keeping everything tense. Okay, it should be just as much of a core workout as it is a leg workout if you're doing this the right way, because that core is engaged the entire time. Don't get lazy, don't overarch the back, pull the core in, head up. I'm keeping it engaged that entire time, all right? So you can go 30 seconds. If it's, like I said, if it's too easy, hold a medicine ball or hold a weight right here. If it's too hard and you can't do it with the perfect technique, make it easier, okay? Split squat, stance, on the toe right here. Same thing, everything engaged. So now you're just getting a tiny little bit of help off that back leg. You want to mostly focus on pushing off the front leg, but a tiny little bit of help off the back leg. Each leg, 30 seconds, all right? Then we're gonna get into the plank. Once again, like everything we're talking about here, great exercise, but oftentimes players don't do it the right way, so it comes across as being too easy. But what you want to think about when you're doing this plank is it's an active core exercise. It's not passive. You're not just sitting there holding, okay? You need to be actively engaging the entire time. So a great thing to do, you can either go forearms, okay, or push-up position. We'll start with forearms here. So first, talking about the setup, get on your very, very tip toes, okay? Now, not dipping the back, pull the abs in. Just like you've got somebody sitting on your back and you want to kind of try to push them up a little bit. You don't want to dip your back, you want to push them up, so you're pushing and you're pulling those abs in and you're kind of pushing up with your low back, all right? Then your upper body, you want to be in a position where you're kind of taking that chest bone and you're making it flat and getting your head flat, okay? And as I'm doing that now, I'm going to push up with that low core, and now I'm in a good plank position here, okay? That's active. Now, when you get into the good plank position, I want you to pull your forearms and your feet together into the ground. So like you're dragging the ground closer together. You're not actually going to move, but that engagement the entire time. Pull as hard as you can. So I'm digging into the ground and I'm pulling. And because I'm on a mat, you're actually going to see the mat move a little bit, but I'm pulling. If you're just on the ground, you're almost trying to pull the ground together. And that's going to light up everything, right? It's going to light up your back. It's going to light up your core. It's going to light up your quads. You should feel it in your glutes if you're doing it correctly. That's how you do a plank. Totally different than just getting to the position and holding it for a minute, right? If you do that the right way, it's as hard as you make it, right? As hard as you're going to pull and engage is as hard as that exercise is going to be. If you do it the right way, you may have to take a break. You may not even be able to get a full minute if you're doing it the right way. Again, if you're doing it the wrong way, you might be able to hold it for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes and not feel anything, okay? If you're doing it the right way, you're going to feel that engagement. You're going to feel that burn the entire time. It should be really hard if you make it hard, okay? Every exercise is up to you and how hard you're gonna make it. So now we're gonna go into a shoulder press, okay? A body weight shoulder press. So this is gonna look like a couple different ways to do this here. Okay, so we're gonna kind of go into this V position here. Again, pulling the belly button in, and then you're just gonna kind of come down and then push up. Now, if you wanna make it a little bit harder, you can put your feet on a box, a bench, a ball, a couch, a chair, doesn't really matter. Okay, so now I've got a little bit more elevation here. Again, I'm not letting my core loose. I'm pulling it in here, and then keeping it engaged the entire time. So that can be pretty challenging. If you want to even take it a step further and go even harder, instead of having your feet up on a box or a bench, you can actually put them up against a wall. All right, so just the position I was in, but move a little bit closer to the wall so that you're maybe at a slight angle. All right, and then you can do it that way. That's going to be super hard. Not many players should be able to do that the right way. You have to be really, really strong to be able to do that. And again, if you do that, it's going to be easy to arch that back, pull the abs in so that back stays flat. All right, core engagement is so huge, guys, in training and in playing when you're on the ice, right? So when we're training, we have to keep the core engaged, because when you're playing, you need that core engaged for balance. You need that core engaged to be able to play physical. A lot of that power and that explosiveness is going to come from your core if you engage it the right way. Because if it's not engaged, what ends up happening is everything kind of falls on your low back, right? If you loosen your core, your low back has to carry all of that strength and all of that load. And that's where guys and girls and players start to get sore low backs, and your back starts to hurt and you get pain in your back, okay? Young players, you may not feel that yet, but if you don't have that right technique right now, you're gonna feel it in 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, wherever it may be. So start training the right way now, because it's gonna make you a better player, but also it's gonna help you stay healthy, all right? So the 3 exercises we covered so far: push-up, single leg squat, plank, 4 exercises: plank, shoulder press. All right, so now we're going to go into a hamstring exercise, single leg deadlift. So for this one, again, I'm going to show you a couple of variations, but okay, your arms are going to be out kind of in a airplane position here. Want to turn those thumbs either up or back, okay? Kind of, again, squeeze that upper back. So through the armpits, you almost want to feel your armpits kind of squeezing. You should feel everything in your back lighting up. Your rear shoulders back here should be lighting up, but you shouldn't feel it in your neck, right? We're not squeezing up. We're not tensing our neck. Your neck wants to be in a good position here, but you don't have to tense it, right? You should feel it through back in here and down here, right? So it's just, okay? You're not pulling the shoulder blades up. Shoulder blades are down, and we're just kind of pulling down and back with that, with those shoulders. Roll them back, pull down and back. All right, so here's just a single leg deadlift. Okay, pull the core in, and we're just going to go nice and slow, and then squeeze up. And on the way up here, you want to feel like, again, as you're coming through, you want to feel like you're pulling with this leg. Get your hips through, and then squeeze your glute. All right, and then as you're coming down, core stays engaged. Squeeze with that back. Okay, nice and slow, and then as you're coming up here, we're here, and then squeeze through. All right, again, control, technique, everything tense. Tension everywhere on this one. All right, don't loosen your core. Keep your core engaged. It's gonna be really easy as you get down here just to kind of let that core hang. Pull it in the entire time, okay? It's gonna feel weird for a lot of you. You're not gonna be used to it. It may be harder. Same thing with the arms. Keep those arms pulled down and back even as you get down low here. Now, as you're pulling your arms back, it's easy to kind of want to arch that back. So arms come back, but core has to be engaged. Okay, so now we're upright more here. And then you can pull those arms back without extending the low back, right? Core stays engaged, and then we pull those arms back. Totally different feeling, okay? Totally different feeling. So again, 30 seconds on each leg. You want to make it harder? Hold something on your chest, and again, you're pulling everything down and back, but you're holding something right here, okay? You can also hold, 2.5 pound, 5 pound weights right here, water bottles in each arm, water bottles in each hand, okay? You can come up with something. All right, if you want to use dumbbells, you can. 30 seconds on each leg. Now, if you want to make that a little bit easier, what you do, instead of having your feet come all the way off the ground, you're just going to kind of set your toe right here. And again, we're doing the same thing, but you're just kind of using this leg almost like a kickstand on a bike. Okay, it's just sitting out here. Again, it's on the toe, so you're not putting too much weight. You're not putting your foot on the ground. You're kind of just resting your toe right here. You should feel no real push off that leg. It's just helping you balance. All right, let's see here. Next, what do I got? Walkouts. Nope, sorry. Glute bridge. So basically the opposite of a plank right now. All right. All right, so glute bridge. Everything firm into the ground here. All right, we're just going to come up here, get your low back. You want to feel that stretch through the hips. Squeeze the glutes. All right, now we don't want to arch. So pull the core in and then squeeze the glutes at the same time. And that's going to balance each other out. It should be straight. Okay, we don't want to go into this arch, all right, where your low back is arching here. So the core gets pulled in, squeezing through the glutes, and we're holding. Squeeze. Squeeze. And as you're doing that, you should feel it in your hamstrings, your glutes, your core, again, because it's how hard you're squeezing. You're creating the tension, all right? Want to make it even harder? Then do the same thing. Squeeze with one leg. Okay, I'm squeezing everything. Core, glutes, pushing through that hip. So you can do it on one leg. Even harder, go to the box, all right? So put your feet up on the box, 2 legs, put your feet up on the box, 1 leg is the next variation, all right? Back. So when you're training body weight off ice, it's easy to not do the back, right? Because back is kind of hard to find exercises to do. So one option is pull-ups, right? So again, when you're doing the pull-ups, if you have a pull-up bar, we can squeeze here through the back, squeezing those elbows together. You should feel that engagement, keeping the core engaged. Again, don't let go of that core and arch the back, okay? So that's one option. Another option is going to be, if you have a couple different chairs that you can use, you can grab like a broomstick or a hockey stick or something and set them up on the chairs like this. And then what you're going to do is you go underneath, pull yourself up underneath. All right, I don't really have that set up here. I've got a pull-up bar, but you can't see it. But that's a good option. The other thing, somebody can hold this for you. And you can do it just with somebody holding. Okay, it's a little bit awkward because you got to put your feet through their legs. Your head's going to be coming up right here. But it's better than nothing. Same thing. Somebody puts their hands out, all right, and then you grab the wrist. Okay, and so you're leaning back and you're pulling yourself up and you're squeezing through. And again, as you're coming up, you should feel that squeeze and that engagement the entire time. That's a good option. Bands are a great option. If you have a band, all right, wrap the band underneath your feet, bend over here, and then squeeze it up. And again, everything's engaged, and you're just squeezing through here. Nothing's loose. Now, if you don't have anything, and you don't have any of those options, that's okay. One thing you can do is we just call them bodyweight squeezes, right? So standing up, braced here, as if you're pulling someone's pulling against you and you're trying to pull as hard as you can. So you're here, everything's tense, and you're just gonna squeeze the entire time, squeeze as hard as you can. And now as you let go here, you're trying to almost resist like someone's pulling against you. But you have to create that resistance yourself. So I'm resisting, and then pull. And you're basically flexing and tensing those muscles as hard as you possibly can. And if you do this right, it's going to be absolute, it's going to wipe you out. You're going to be so fatigued, all right, in the back muscles and things like that. So it's the same thing. You can do it this way too. So act as if you're pushing against something as hard as you can, and then pulling. Engage all those muscles throughout your back, okay, your posterior chain. But while you're doing it, your core stays engaged. There's tension in your legs. Your head's looking up and you're upright. So everything is engaged throughout the entire exercise. Okay, so those are some good options for back. Doing these body weight squeezes is a great way, even for push-ups here, right? It's a great way just to feel all those muscles engaged and feel the proper technique that you should be using. And what you're doing is you're just pushing, like almost like you're pushing against a wall that's just barely moving, right? Push. And then you're resisting. Nice and slow. It looks ridiculous. Don't get me wrong. I know I look ridiculous when I do it. But if you do it the right way, whew, it's a great exercise. Great body weight exercise. Okay, so now we're going to go into lateral lunges. So I like these because it's good for the stride. Emulates the stride. So again, wide leg here. Okay, arms across the chest. Core engaged. Head up. Glutes engaged. Down nice and slow to one side. Up back through the middle. So what I'm doing is I'm sitting back. So as I'm coming down, I'm kind of sitting back, almost like there's a chair right here that I'm trying to sit on and reach for it. You want to reach your butt back to sit on that chair. Core stays engaged. Belly button pulled in. Get the rib cage up as you're doing this. Don't kind of squat down. Rib cage up. You should feel everything in your legs really engaging when you do that correctly. If you want to make that a little bit harder, just right in here, step out, and then back up again. So that makes it a little bit harder. Hold the weight, but make sure the technique is perfect first, okay? Core engaged, rib cage up, slow and controlled. Slow and controlled as you're doing all of these exercises. Slow and controlled with tension, okay? Now, last thing that we're going to do, walkouts. So here we're just going to go into a plank position. Again, we're in this good plank position and a push-up position. Pull the core up, and then you're just going to walk your hands out. Keep the core engaged. Keep the belly button pulled up. Hold it for a couple seconds. Walk back. Only walk out as far as you can where you can hold your core positioning. If you have to start dipping, you're going too far. All right, so for some people, maybe only like right here, right? For other people, you may be able to get way out here and hold that core positioning and then come back in, all right? You want to hold it for 2 to 3 seconds at the end and then walk back in. And there you go. 9 different exercises with the right technique. Guarantee you that 90%, 95%, 99% of the players that have sent in videos haven't been focusing on technique this way, okay? Guys, we have to change the mindset shift. It's not always what you do, it's how you do it, all right? You can be doing the same training as somebody else, but if you're more focused on getting more out of every single exercise, who's going to get better at that at the end of that workout, right? Now, if you increase and ramp up your training even more, and you're doing longer training, more intense training, you're going to even be improving more than other players because your technique is so good. Then when the technique is getting mastered, now you start adding more resistance, okay? Now you can start adding more weight. Now you can start adding, because you built this foundation, the technique foundation, because otherwise what's going to happen is as you start adding weight and trying to get stronger and stronger, everything's going to start falling apart, right? If the technique isn't good, you're not going to have the strength in the right areas to be able to handle more weight, okay? And if you do try to handle more weight, you're just going to lead to injury. And I've seen this happen over and over again. Hands down, the best hockey players that I've worked with, that I've coached, that I've played with, had the best technique off the ice, right? They were the ones where you looked at their technique in the off-ice training, it was impeccable. They were focused on all the details because it takes more coordination, it takes more athleticism, it takes more mental focus, and that translates onto the ice, right? Anybody can do a lunge or a squat, but doing it the right way takes a lot more athleticism and a lot more coordination. So focus on the technique throughout the workout. You're gonna get way more out of it. It's gonna be way harder, and that's the workout for today.